What's up, Taiwan? I'm Erika Liu with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. The U.S. state of Arizona has received a once-in-a-generation windfall of federal funding to make homegrown chips. Big-time foreign investors have begun pouring in billions, most notably Taiwanese chip giant TSMC. Our reporter Joyce Tseng traveled to Phoenix to check in on the progress.
Landing in the Arizona desert. That's what many tech companies have decided to do. A huge slice of nearly $200 billion to grow the American semiconductor industry has ended up here, in the southwestern Grand Canyon state. That sum is largely accounted for by world-leading Taiwanese chipmaker TSMC, which has put in one of the biggest foreign investments the U.S. has ever seen. Also here, the world's second largest chipmaker, the U.S.'s own Intel, which is adding 2 new factories despite industry concerns of shortages in resources like water and talent.
The momentum has shifted, and we are doing everything remotely possible to continue producing in the U.S. as we've done for 50 years. And we don't believe there are going to be any barriers to production in the American markets.
Chips power all modern electronics, from kitchen appliances to defense systems. That's why U.S. President Joe Biden's been pushing to make more advanced chips in America, to secure an economic and technological lead over fellow superpower China. Most of the world's cutting-edge chips are currently made in Taiwan, the self-ruled nation Beijing claims as its own and has threatened to take by force. It's a flashpoint that could disrupt the global chip supply chain, and why some companies are physically moving to set up shop near key customers like TSMC and Intel to keep their businesses resilient.
If there's geopolitical tensions, if there's challenges with the shipping channels, getting from Asia to here, being local, that's a risk that you can eliminate. Being close is the best way to reduce some of those business continuity risks.
For Germany-owned chips equipment supplier EMD Electronics, mitigating that risk means a new $39 million plant near the state's capital, Phoenix, close to big players like TSMC and Intel. It's also an area others in the industry have scouted out for its promising workforce.
With just a little over 1.6 million people, Phoenix is the 5th most populous city in the United States. And that number is expected to rise as officials are bidding to make this a national hub for technologies from semiconductors to electric vehicles and energy storages that are future-proof.
Arizona's labor force is strong and has a lot of potential to grow, says Greater Phoenix Area Economic Council head Chris Camacho. Speaking on whether the desert state is the best place for the water-intensive chips industry, Camacho said water planning has been a state priority for decades. Now there's a chance to redirect this resource from traditional industries like agriculture towards fields that can elevate the state.
When I talk to global media about the use of water for semiconductors versus agriculture, we're going to bet all day long on investing in semiconductor plants because they create high-quality jobs. They naturally create a lot of innovation, but also a lot of tax revenue for our communities. This is going to be the next hub of major technology convergence in the entire United States. Is going to happen here, in large part because TSMC's here.
Many are eager to see the unmatched chipmaker's Phoenix project come to life. It's already delayed by a year, but it remains a driving force behind Arizona's bid to lead future trends. To get there, the state is working to pull in firms across high-tech fields beyond TSMC to unlock advanced innovation in this vast, promising desert land. Justin Wu and Joyce Tseng in Phoenix, Arizona for TaiwanPlus.
For a closer look at TSMC in Arizona, tune in tomorrow as Joyce Tseng reports from the high-stakes Phoenix construction site. Taiwan's armed forces has opened a new facility to prepare the country's military medics for disaster. Our reporter Bryn Thomas takes a look at the high-tech tools used to improve their responsiveness.
These soldiers are training at the Tactical Casualty and Disaster Rescue Training Building, a new part of Taiwan's National Defense Medical Center. Opened on Monday, the facility uses modern technology to prepare the country's medics for worst-case scenarios on and off the battlefield. It's part of a push by President Tsai Ing-wen to strengthen the country's armed forces against China, which has not renounced the use of force to take Taiwan.
这栋大楼具有多功能的救护训练环境，包括利用虚拟实境、扩增实境等技术，来营造战场救护的拟真训练。
These training facilities are meant to get the nation's soldiers ready to deal with disasters, accidents, and hazardous materials during peacetime and battlefield casualties in a conflict. By using technology to strengthen the army, Taiwan is hoping for the best while preparing for the worst. Scott Huang and Bryn Thomas for TaiwanPlus.
Israeli forces are pushing into southern Gaza. It comes after days of heavy bombardment of the enclave following the end of a week-long ceasefire. Gaza's health ministry says more than 15,000 people have been killed in the Hamas-controlled territory in the last 2 months. Israel's military launched offensives on Gaza following a cross-border attack by Hamas on October 7th, which killed 1,200. Our reporter Rick Laird spoke to emergency doctor Shang Kai-hung with Doctors Without Borders, also known as MSF, who recently returned from working in Gaza.
Since you've got back and you've been talking to media here in Taiwan, you've called for a ceasefire. There was a pause, a truce between Israel and Gaza, and that's now collapsed. Can you tell us why you were calling for a ceasefire?
From the perspective as a doctor or from the perspective as a medical humanitarian organization, it's nonsense that we stay in the hospital and we tried our best to save 1 or 5 or 10 lives, to do our best to save them. But at the same time, the war is still happening and hundreds of thousands of people are still dying. I think it's unacceptable and it's nonsense for a doctor. So I think the ceasefire is essential.
And one thing we've been hearing from reports of Gaza is the Israeli attacks on hospitals. Can you tell us what you know about these?
Since the start of the war, according to the statistics of WHO, it's over 100 accidents of attacking the medical facility. MSF, we have our own medical facility in a hospital called Al-Auda. It's in north part of Gaza. This place was also attacked, and 4 of our staff died from this accident. Even before the attack, they are doing the operation, they are treating the patients inside of the hospital. So I have no any idea, and I cannot think of any reason why this place, the international neutral organization, independently operated medical facility would be targeted. And I think this should be further investigated.
Can you tell us a bit about what you saw in terms of the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip, in terms of their medical needs? What sort of situations were you seeing from the people there?
Even only the first or the second week of the outbreak of the war, there's almost no any medications. We need to suture the patients without any local anesthesias because we run out of the medication. So we have 2 children. They are older sisters and younger brothers. Their house was bombed, so all of the other families are died, and they are no more than 10-year-old, and both of them need amputation because the injury of the limbs. But we run out of the local anesthesias, so we have to do the operation for both of them. And the older sister, she has to hold his younger brothers. I mean, it's this kind of suffering or pain, it's unnecessary for us. We can do more to prevent this kind of tragedy.
That was emergency doctor with MSF Shang Kai-hung speaking to reporter Rick Laird. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Finally today, check out this footage of cancer survivors and patients climbing Mexico's highest peak. I'm Erika Liu. Take care and see you next time.
I'm Leslie Liao in New York City, and this is Taiwan Plus News, a voice of freedom in Asia.